Season 3, Episode 3 of Dipping and Out with Lucy will be with Richard Port MBE. We're focusing on the conversation around domestic abuse and the family court system. I wanted to let everybody know that the episode is actually split in two. We had so much to discuss, and at this time of year, it's a really important conversation to have around domestic abuse and the family court system for parents to be able to access this support and information. Hopefully, it will give people some insights and help them through a very, very difficult time. This is part 2.
Unless you use it,
how are you going to do? Exactly.
It's redundant.
It's redundant. So this is what gets me. Is there's all these things that are there that if they were used in the proper manner, for the reason that they were brought into place in the first place, is it would make things easier, but it is so difficult, I think. And when you've got, I always think of it as, especially for the victim, they've got 50,000 plates to spin. It may not just be that they're dealing with family court. They could be dealing with child maintenance. They could be dealing with, homelessness and being in refuge. There's so many other things that are going on. And again, that's why it's so important to have these conversations, because I think very often when people hear the words domestic abuse or they hear the words family court, whatever, it's like, oh no, I can't get involved in that. It's like something out of EastEnders, the thought of going to court, or I'm going to get hauled away and thrown into prison, and and that for a victim as well, I suppose, when you've been controlled for so long by somebody who seemed like the authority figure to you, you're now being thrown into an arena where it is an authority figure, even if it's district judge, whether it's magistrates, whether it's a legal advisor. As a victim, they don't know what powers each individual has who's looking at that case that day. They've no clue, unless they've been prepared and they have.
It's a figure, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a figure, and they're sitting there, and it's intimidating and it's frightening. And I think that in itself, COVID, I think, took maybe a bit of that away for those who could do them over Zoom, but it doesn't make any difference. It's still as scary. It's still something that people have to deal with.
We're rebuilding on that, because again, I've been on cases, and before there was a lot of respect for the courts, and then COVID hit, and then, like you say, you're on Teams, and then you've got a perpetrator there with a vape in his hand going, on
you may not have seen that person. You might not have seen them for a long time, and then they're on. You've got your camera on, they've got the camera on, and you're like, oh my god.
You've got a judge on the screen reading out and going, this is the case B79264 and all that, and you've got the perpetrator there, and just going, and you're thinking, this is a court, regardless of whether this is Teams or not. This is court. And then again, you've got the issue of the cameras, so I'm having to then say, turn off your camera, there's special measures in place. And then that makes it even more scary for victims, because they know they're there. They know that they're watching on the screen. They know that they're there just giving them evils from behind the screen. And I've had arguments with judges because I've said, oh, well, I want special measures in place. Well, it's not a privilege. It's not a given right that you get it. It's a privilege to have special measures. I went, no, it's not. I want special measures. And one judge even asked the perpetrator if he was happy for my client to have special measures, to have the cameras turned off.
So give the perpetrator even more control.
No, George. I said, we're not doing that, are we? Because if you're asking the person who we're alleging to be a perpetrator if it's okay for my client not to see them, then I've got a massive issue here that I'm going to have to appeal, aren't I? And the judge went, oh, yes. Oh, no, that's fine. No, we'll do special measures. And I'm thinking, we're not going to be doing that today. We're not, like you say, we're not going to be empowering a perpetrator, giving a little kick that we've asked their consent whether we can have the cameras turned off. Doesn't work like that. No. So again, it's having the confidence to challenge, because judges, I know quite a few judges, great people, very wise, very smart, but they're human beings. They're not. At the end of the day, they make mistakes as well. And with all these cases, sometimes in the filter of it all, little cracks show, or they don't make the right decision, or they make the wrong procedural decision. And you just have to have the confidence to be able to go to a judge and say, we're not doing that though, are we? We're going to do it this way. And I'm not trying to disrespect you or go over what you're saying, but
But yeah,
but with the
but
greatest courtesy, Your Honour, we're going to do it this way, aren't we? Because again, we've got a victim of domestic abuse, and there's the Section 12J, and there's special measures, and all this. So again, it's having that confidence to be able to talk up. If this was years and years ago, when I first started, then probably I wouldn't have had the confidence as a trainee to be able to go, Judge, can I just say this to you?
excuse me,
Yes,
put your hand up.
I remember being a trainee, but I remember like first starting, and I was in this big, massive courtroom. It must have been Nottingham,
Yeah.
and it was just me. The client didn't attend, and the other side didn't attend. So the judge was giving out an order, and I wasn't taking a note. And I'm the trainee at the time doing it, like sitting there doing the case. And he goes, I could see him looking down at me. He goes, "You are taking a note of this, Mr. Port. I will be asking you to draw the order." And I'm going, "Yes, sir, I'm taking it." But again, as a trainee, you're just in awe about it all, aren't you? It's
Yeah,
it's
of course you
it's
are.
such such a weird and wonderful world that you go into, and it's a privilege to go into other people's worlds and speak to them about their problems and get to know and how to help them solve the issues. I say I taught at Newman University a few weeks ago to about family law, and I just didn't want to do it on the textbook privacy
Mm,
steps orders, specific issue orders. I spoke to him and said, like, it's a privilege to be able to sit and actually hear people's stories,
mm,
hear their problems, and be able to help them out and resolve those
yeah,
issues. It's not a right. No one's got a right to do that. It's a privilege.
yeah,
And again, it's a very sacred role being a family lawyer, because you do take on people's burdens to be able to solve problems for them. But as long as you can do it right and you give them the best service and you give them that respect, and this is
yeah,
what victims need. It's that respect. They, they, they
absolutely.
they
One of the
don't
things
need
they've lost.
judgment at
Yeah.
all.
That's a big, that word in itself. That's what they've lost for so long, is being
Yeah,
respected. And I think, if more, one of the sad things I often find is that somebody may allege abuse, but because they've never gone to the police about it, because
yeah,
they've basically been told by their partner, that's not abuse, that's your normal
no,
life, don't you know? This is how everybody lives, this is
yeah,
everybody's norm. And it's difficult then, because to try and then say, but actually, and for the victim, and to process that and process the fact that they've been abused, whilst trying to deal with the fact that they're having to deal with this person in court. Sometimes, some people think it sounds ridiculous, but you'll know it could be 2, 3, 4, God knows how many times a year,
yeah,
with a first hearing, contested hearing, final hearing. Oh, but in there, we're also going to get an enforcement, so we'll go back again. And then, it just keeps going and going and going. And it's almost to try and break that person down. And I think a lot of people will find that they are a lot stronger than they realize, and that's an important fact to kind of
yeah,
make. And having the right support, having the right representation, can make all the difference between feeling confident walking in a courtroom and feeling like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell's going to happen in the next hour, 2 hours. And they're long processes, aren't they? It's not just like a half a day or something. It can be a full day. It can be, it's all
yeah.
those things, the mental, the emotional. It can take people weeks to recover afterwards from it. All sounds very like, oh, this sounds a bit ridiculous, but these are
It's true.
actually the facts of family
Yeah.
court and the proceedings.
People need resilience. That's the big. See, I've looked at what the cases that I do, and I've looked at about how things go, and it's resilience is the key. It's being able to adapt, and it's being able to take. You've got victims of taking punches. You've got victims that have taken verbal, mental punches, and all that. It's being able to be resilient moving forward, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. People kind of think there is no light. I'm stuck with this person because we've got children for the next 18 years of my life, for example.
Yeah.
But there is a light at the end of the tunnel,
Mm.
because you've come from such a dark situation where you are controlled, where you are monitored, you're stalked, you're hit, you're emotionally abused, you kind of programmed on a daily basis as to how that perpetrator wants you. But once you're out of the fire, fair enough, there's still a few embers on you that you need to kind of get rid of.
Love that.
But it goes out. It goes out because either the perpetrator loses focus, either you stand your ground because as time goes on, you realize what happened wasn't right. And as you take away the control from the perpetrator, you become stronger.
Oh my
You
God.
become bigger,
Yeah.
you become better. And the way they kind of suck the energy out of you and suck the enjoyment out of life, because the way I see it is we are sponges. We do absorb energy from different people and different feelings from different people. And the more you're in a household where you've just got negative, 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 then you kind of see the world in such a negative light and you become negative in yourself and you don't want to be.
And
You
defensive.
can
Yeah.
you become defensive and you become reliant because again you're just drawing in all this negativity, and it's not until you get out of that situation you realize that actually it was a terrible situation, you were abused, and you come to terms with that where you actually go, do you know what, I'm out of it, no more negativity, my life positiveness, it's a reset, I can do what I want, I'm not being told what to do. And I say I'll see clients at the beginning of the case, some that have just come out of such an abusive relationship, and
Yeah.
then towards the end they're a totally different person
Yeah.
because they've built up that confidence back because they've realised actually I'm better than that person. I
Yeah.
don't need to make someone feel terrible about themselves
Yeah.
to get a kick out of
A kick
life.
out of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know as well, when you were just saying that, number one, I'm going to call this podcast The Embers Will Die Out because I love that. That's genius. That
okay.
needs to be the name of a book, that does, because it's that feeling of no hope in sight. And that's constantly what I'm trying to do with You Don't Owe Me and with Dipping Out with Lucy is
Yeah.
create that hope that it is not all is lost. There is hope. Some days you're going to feel like absolute crap. And unfortunately, we all have those days. And yes, it is horrific if have experienced domestic abuse and you're still trying to get up in the morning, but there is hope. And I think when you were just saying then about, the sad thing with family court is and the proceedings is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you can, like you say, adapt, and that person has to be able to adapt, they have to be resilient. That isn't somebody that's stupid. So all the people out there that will either listen to this or watch it and think, I've been in that position, I was made to feel stupid. If you can get yourself through family court proceedings and you've managed to get to that light at the end of the tunnel, you are not stupid. You are an extremely resilient person. You're an extremely intelligent person and you can do anything as far as
I
I'm
want
concerned.
that stereotype to go because I'm getting tired of that. So I've done domestic abuse for 10 years. And when I first started it, it was that stereotype that victims were stupid. Why would you stay with someone if they're going to abuse you? Why did you not leave? Why did you not go? And again, that was from the judges as well. Well,
Yeah.
clearly it
Oh,
wasn't that
yeah.
bad
Yeah.
because you had another child with that person. So clearly it wasn't that bad at all. And as time's gone by, and because this we've spoke about it more and it's become more of a subject to talk about, and then more people have come forward where they're more kind of famous, and you kind of go, well, actually, they can't be stupid. They're a famous person. They've gone through domestic abuse. The stereotype's going, but it's still there. There's still
Yeah.
people out there that, and again, we had this whole thing with Caroline Flack, didn't we? When her very, very sad passing, where we said, be kind. And we were for about 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and we were very supportive of each other. And it was great to see on Facebook and LinkedIn. But it's gone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now we've just got judging and just
Again,
criticism
yeah.
and negativity about it. And that needs to go because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, CEOs all the way to the unemployed can be victims of domestic abuse. You
Yeah.
don't have to.
There
You
isn't
don't
a
have to
type.
be.
We don't,
No,
they
no.
don't fit a type. There isn't a mold that says, and that's one thing that drives
Yeah,
me insane.
yeah,
It isn't
yeah,
that, that's the stigma I hate is,
yeah,
well, there's a certain type. No, there isn't. Anyone
no,
can be a victim of domestic abuse. And another kind of really difficult thing I think that a lot of victims and survivors face is, and this is why I try and write the blogs for family and friends as well, is when you are going through something like that, there is only you that is going through it. Your
yeah,
family might be supporting you, your friends might be supporting you, but when you walk through, in terms of family court, when you walk through those doors and you have your representation with you, and it is just, you know, it is you're a team, but it's your name being called out, you know, it's your children's names being called out, and that pressure and that onus really starts to kind of hit home. And I think that's where family and friends need to learn how to approach the subject. And instead of saying, as I've heard in the past, I know, no, you don't know, because you've not been there. So no, you don't know. But maybe if you say, I'm listening to what you're saying, and do you want to talk about it? Do you need to get something off your chest? Do you want us to talk about how today went? If you don't want to talk about it, you just want to go and have a bath, or go and have a cup of tea, or immerse yourself in a film or a book or whatever. We have to be more empathetic to those people who are facing things like the family court, because it is not an easy thing to do, and it is a very difficult thing to do, and we need to all be a bit kinder and say, you know what, I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up, I haven't got a clue, don't know what it's like, and I take my hat off to you, and I'm there for you if you need me.
The sad thing is, domestic abuse is a great believer in equal opportunities, isn't it? And it doesn't discriminate in any shape or form, age, religion, and all that jazz. So it can be any gender. And you probably heard me throughout going he, she in regards to perpetrators and victims, because it does wind me up when people do speak about domestic abuse and they generalize it just to, that's their area. They just generalize it just to he or she, but anyone can be a victim, and anyone can be a perpetrator in that regards to gender wise. So again, it's just making sure we're talking about it and being open to be able to talk about it, and not shutting ourselves off. And I think we're getting a little bit better about it all, because I'm talking to people, and I'm going to dinner parties, and they're not automatically going, great to meet you, Richard, bye, I'm going to go and talk to that person there because he makes ice cream for a living, so lovely to meet you. We're getting better at it, but again, it's going to take time, and we've gone from a massive leap from the courts. I had a case once where I was raising as a young buck of a newly qualified solicitor, sitting in the courts saying to a district judge, can we have a fact-finding hearing? So a fact-finding hearing determines the truth of a case, the facts of a case. And the judge goes, did the children see dad hit mum? And I went, no, sir, no, he didn't. No, they didn't at all. So what's the problem? What's the issue? Why are we looking into domestic abuse then? If the children didn't see mum get hit, then what's the problem? And you go, what? Sorry, what?
Like, I'm sorry, can you say that again? Did I actually just hear that right?
Did you just say that?
Wow.
And you think we've gone from that, from in my lifetime as a family lawyer, to now we're better at looking at fact-finding hearings, or we're being a bit more clever in saying, rather than going direct for the slit of the throat to go, I don't care about you anymore. We're going more, well, if it doesn't prevent contact, then I don't see why we need a fact-finding hearing.
Yeah.
And I agree in some respects of that, but I also don't agree in the fact that we've got someone being brave enough to put forward their issues and the domestic abuse, and some of it's very serious, but then we're downplaying it and saying, well, we don't need to know whether that was true or not. Well, yeah, we clearly do. So
also well, you know, I know this is going to sound like a really obvious thing to say, but perpetrators lie. So
no,
they tell lies. So when that person says, you know, and a judge takes it on board, or a magistrate take it on board, they say, no, that didn't happen. Oh, well, then there we go then. Didn't happen. That's a classic one I've heard. No, that never happened.
Lucy, are you trying to suggest that perpetrators could go so far as to lie to a judge in court? That's how far you're going with this?
That's how far I'm going. I'm taking it there. I'm taking it. I'm elevating it.
That's crazy. That's just, I think we need to tell the courts about this, that actually they are willing to lie. They're also willing to make up evidence, and they're also willing to get family members to come in and say, he or she is a lovely person, would never hurt a fly, and has never hurt me.
Yeah.
It's
crazy, isn't
but again,
it?
But I stand there sometimes, and the problem with me is I really love my job and I really love helping people and I really want to make a change. And because at the end of the day, these are real people, these are
Yeah,
real children.
real lives.
You
Yeah,
screw this up, there's consequences forever. It's not a job, it's not a transaction. I'm not in it for a kind of I don't leave the office at 5 o'clock and go, all right, that's me done for the day. All right, I'll just pick it up back tomorrow. Yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't work like that. And if it does work like that for some people, then there's massive problems there.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, you've just got to think to yourself that you sit there and you listen to judges, and they come out with some things like, "Well, I believe that person," because they wouldn't tell a lie about that. I'm thinking, yes, they bloody would. What are you
exactly.
talking about?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And they've come
what do you
they've come
mean?
smart, very dressly to court. So they come dressly smart to court,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's like, oh yeah, they look so wonderful. We get so, and the sad thing is as well, perpetrators, they are charmers. And they're not just trying to
yeah.
charm the victim, they're trying to charm the world. They're trying to show the world that they are something else. And in sadly, that means that they can charm court. It can
Yeah.
be done.
Do you know what I hate? Crocodile tears.
Crocodile, yeah. Oh yeah.
Hate him. Absolutely hate him. There's the one thing that
Uh,
just I've got all the time in the world for someone who's upset. I will make sure that say they're all right. I'll listen to them and
mm.
talk to them. Somewhat as soon as someone just gives me crocodile tears, nah,
So you
that's
know.
me. I'm out. I
Or the
learnt
big,
about crocodile tears. I was
or the
in.
big sort of sigh. I'm the victim in all this. I'm just. Has everyone seen that Academy Award winning kind of performances you get to
Yeah,
see?
yeah.
It's
I,
amazing.
I, lo- I love it. I love it. I had one case once. I was in Chesterfield, and I won't swear because it's a family show, but it basically I was just about to go into the courtroom, and the perpetrator says to me, calls me a very naughty word just before I go into the courtroom. And I went, what did you just call me? And he goes, you heard. And I went to the solicitor who was right next to me and said, your client just called me a very naughty word. And he went, oh, he didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. And I thought, I'm having you now. I'm having you.
Yeah.
So I went into court and I was already fired up anyway. Like I thought, I'm going for this. I just went to town, and every opportunity that I got to talk, I just went, and his face, like, and I beat him at one. I got what
Brilliant.
we wanted,
Brilliant.
to the point we stopped him from having Christmas. Um, he he was arguing for this, and we've managed to get the Christmas contact sorted. And I
Wow.
thought, do you know what? At the end of the day, because the client said he was horrible, he was abusive to the child, he was abusive to me, he was doing this and this. But it was just the audacity. Thought, do you know what? He
Mm.
could talk to me like if he talked to me like that
Yeah.
outside of a courtroom,
Yeah.
how does he talk to her, and how does he talk to the kid?
Yeah.
So I just went to town, and I just thought, I
I
love
love
you for
it.
that. That's fine.
I love it.
Because the thing is, as soon as you retaliate, if you swear, you
Mm.
shout, and you raise your voice, you've lost an argument
Yeah, of
already.
course you
That's
have.
done.
Yeah.
You've done. You've
Yeah.
lost control. But
Yeah.
it's when you go in controlled and you know the state of plays and you
Yeah.
know how to deal with matters.
Yeah.
That's when it all comes into play. But I've
That's
had some right weird ones like over the years, like thinking, do you know what? They've gone one up on me, and I was like, no, you haven't in any shape or
it's
form.
it's like a theatre, isn't it? The whole kind of family court. It
Oh,
is.
it is.
It's like a theatre sort of production, and I think a lot of the time as well, if victims had, say, somebody like you beforehand, before they go in the courtroom, say they're in a separate room, because people probably don't realise you're not always just sitting outside the courtroom. You could be in a room. They're in the room next to you. You might even
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
the perpetrator solicitor saying we all need to sit in the same room so that then the perpetrator can eyeball the victim and
Mm.
give all these things they don't know. It's having that knowledge, isn't it, is that power for the victim, is to say,
Yeah, yeah.
actually, I'm going to go in there and I'm not going to lose my rag when I hear them say something that's a complete and utter lie, when they sit there saying the audacity, the outrage, it's ludicrous, all the words you hear. How dare they
Why
say
are you copying me, Lucy? Why have you been watching me in court? Have you been watching me? This is outrageous. The audacity of this. Outrageous, you worships.
outrageous, outrageous. And it is,
Outrageous.
It's brilliant. I mean, the sad thing is, it is sort of laughable because that's where it's got to. That's it. But like you say, it has moved on so much, in so many ways. And I think the more that people can see things like this and go, oh, right, okay, so I'm not going to get thrown in prison by doing X, Y, and Z if I make the children available, or if I do this, or if I do that. And it is difficult because as children get older, that court order becomes harder and harder for the parent who is trying to say, okay, well, they are having contact, but now my child's refusing to get in a car. My child is basically locked themselves in the bathroom saying, I'm not going. You know, there's all those things that are going to crop up over time. And that's never easy.
The issue you've got with enforcement, now, if you breach a court order, you've got to have a reasonable excuse as to why you breached that court order.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can say to whoever's watching, listening, stop reading the newspapers about enforcement for court orders, because I'm tired of reading it and it says mum went to prison for breaching child arrangement court order, and you get all these, say, clients ringing up going, I'm really worried because I've not let the child go. And I said, well, I can't advise you to breach court order, but if you've got a reasonable excuse, then we raise it with the court. But what they don't see is a little tagline underneath, because that person's breached the court order about 100 times. They've been warned about 1,000,000 times, and they've just not done what they should have done. So it's kind of the scandalizing it and make it into one big spectacular headline.
An umbrella for everybody, and it's not like
it's not at all. So again, it's having that confidence. If you are worried and you're scared that your child's at risk of harm, and you believe it's a reasonable excuse as to why contact stopped, then you stand your ground.
Yeah.
And children's services.
Sorry, go on.
No one can advise you to breach a court order.
No.
And children's services, they can't advise you to breach a court order.
That's
anyway.
what I was just going to say as well. You can contact them if you've got concerns, can't you? You can say, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about whatever it is, and they can investigate. But the only person that it unfortunately, and like you say, if there is reasonable excuse, and the sad thing is, I've worked with some people who are scared because the child's been sick that weekend, and genuinely, not not well, a genuine ill, and then the fear is, oh my god, I'm going to get in so much trouble because they didn't go. You know, what are you going to do? Bundle a child off in a car that's got a temperature of 120 degrees and then go, but I have to stick to it. You know, there are times where you would like to think that the perpetrator would see, sense and reason, and unfortunately, I would like to say 99%, but 100% of the time they don't. So you have to unfortunately go through all that, and if you have to go through an enforcement order, like you say, it is something that you'll have to do. But if you know in your heart of hearts that you've done it without malice, intent or anything like that, and it's in the best interest of the child because there is that reasonable, excuse, whatever, then that's understandable. But I think it's so important. I mean, I seriously could go on with you for hours. I've thought about 20 other things.
Just
I think we need to
putting the world to rights, they see. Putting the world to rights.
We need to do a series, and we need to call it. I don't know what we'll call it. We'll think of something. I don't know. We'll have to do our own series because
we have to.
And there is so much more to them. There genuinely is so much more to unpick, and you are exceedingly knowledgeable, obviously. And the lovely thing is you're approachable, and I think that's another thing that people need to realise is solicitors aren't there to be scary, are they? I know some are, and some might not be for you. You might end up going to court thinking, that person is not going to represent me again because that didn't go the way I thought it was, and they didn't have my best interest at heart, or the children's, and
This is the funny thing, because I come across, if I'm representing someone, then I will go in and I'm representing them and I will defend them and I will go tooth and nail. But in reality, when you talk to me and my friends and family and clients, I'm not a horrible person. I'm quite nice. I like to think so. And I went to the Haven domestic abuse ball, and someone says to me, "Are you Richard Port?" And I'm like, depends who's asking. And I'm like, oh, I was on the case with you on that, and I'm thinking, are they going to talk to me as if I'm not a very nice person? Because the other day I was defending my client, like, a nice person, really. But like you say, you've got to
Yeah,
be able to trust your solicitor. You've got to be able to know that you can talk to them about anything, especially family law, because again,
yeah,
it's very personal. You're
yes,
you're telling your secrets and what's happening in your private life to a family lawyer,
mm,
and if you feel like you're being judged, or you feel that, like I say, there's an issue in any shape or form, and you don't feel that you could trust your family lawyer, then
mm.
why are you paying them to be
Right.
your family lawyer?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Um,
And you may not have even told your own family the
no,
things that have gone
exactly,
on. And you're telling
exactly.
this almost stranger
Yeah, yeah,
all your deepest, darkest secrets. And that, that in itself is true heroicism in my view, because it's the view that the court take in terms of, well, you've only decided to bring this up now because it's gone to court and it's a he said, she said scenario. But actually,
yeah, yeah.
for genuine people and for people who have genuinely experienced abuse, who haven't gone down the road of contacting the authorities, it's a lot of the time they don't even know they've been abused. They don't realize that they've been abused. It is something that when they leave, like you said before, you leave the situation and go, oh, okay, so that wasn't normal. Saying, if you leave
Yeah.
me, I'll kill myself or I'll kill you or the children. Right, so that's not normal, because they made that out to be
No,
like this protection that they had. Actually, no, you're a possession, and so are the children, and it's moving chess pieces on a board, and
it's
it, yeah,
it's mad, isn't it?
it is,
Because again, you once you get out of it, you then see the reality of it all. But then the excuses that perpetrators give, I just love you too much, so much in fact that I, I just can't see you alive if we separate, and I
yeah,
can't see myself alive either. And
yeah,
it's just like, what are you even talking about? The fact that you could say that to someone,
mm,
and again, you raise it with the courts, and
yeah,
hopefully the courts believe you,
mm.
but then they'll go, never happened, never said it. Never did it. Never happened.
Prove it, prove
I've
it.
had one. I've had one case recently where he denied domestic abuse. He says, I wasn't horrible to her. I wasn't abusive. And I'm in court and I'm reading out his text messages. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna do this. If you don't do what you say,
Never happened.
I'm gonna sort you out. I'm gonna get my friends to come beat you up. Oi, answer the phone or I'll get you. And then he's there next to me going, I wasn't abusive in any way. I was a
You can see
gentleman,
it.
and I'm reading out these text messages to the court, going, I think we've got a problem here,
I think, yeah,
and I think if he doesn't accept it, because it was for a non molestation order, and he wanted to accept it on what's called a no admissions basis.
right.
He wanted to say, I'll let you have the order, but I don't
I don't
admit
admit
that I
to.
was abusive. And sometimes we do accept that because again, it's to try and move things forward. But in this scenario,
No,
no
not when it's
chance.
plain as a nose on your face and it's
No,
right in front of you.
exactly. And you
No,
just think to yourself, the court's clearly seen that you are an abuser. And so the fact you're in denial about it when it's there in black and white is absolute nonsense.
yeah,
So again, it's knowing when to stand your ground and knowing when to challenge when you need to challenge. But if you find a decent family lawyer,
yeah,
that knows what they're doing about domestic abuse. It's not a gimmick. It's not a gimmick bit to put on the door of the office, or it's not a gimmick for their own charity PR. And they're actually there and they actually do understand you and want to help,
yeah,
then you'll be fine.
yeah,
But again,
absolutely.
it's making sure that it's not a gimmick, and it's making sure that they have got that experience to understand what you've been through, to be able to have that knowledge to know the type of cases, what perpetrators are going to try and do. Because
Yeah,
as much as I joke and say, well, they're idiots, perpetrators, they do some clever stuff. And again,
yeah,
it's
oh
seeing
yeah,
that clever stuff and knowing how to kind of jump on it to go, no, we're not doing that. This is how it's going to happen.
yeah.
And it's taking control over a situation, because if you've got a solicitor that just easily just gets roped into it all,
Mm.
it doesn't work.
No, and I think 100%. I think another thing that just came into my mind then was you also as well have to be realistic with yourself, don't you, as well? Because so many
Yeah,
times you hear people say, "Oh, they won't go back again." No, they won't. And then you're back again. Oh, they won't go back.
yeah, yeah.
Then they go back.
No, they don't do it.
You have to be realistic, and you have to accept certain things that are true. Prepare yourself for the fact that you may think you've walked out of those courtroom doors and that's it now, it's all done and dusted till the children are 16, 17, 18, whatever. But actually, that person probably is already making the next application
Yeah,
before the ink's dry on the
yeah.
first. And
this is the problem, because you get some family lawyers and they'll guarantee the outcome, and then you don't get that outcome, and you're distraught, upset, and disappointed. And then they go, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Whereas I say to them, look, I can never guarantee the outcome. I will fight tooth and nail for you, but I can never guarantee the outcome. And it's the same with these orders. You can get an order in place, but it doesn't solve your problems straight away. It doesn't kind of go, now you've got it, everything's all done and dusted. Because again, like you say, there's always that plan. The perpetrator's always got that next step. Either it's with you or it's with someone else.
Yeah.
And it's knowing then just to be very careful, be planning to make sure that you can protect yourself.
Yeah, and keep everything. Keep every text message, keep every
100%.
email, keep as much as, you know, and at times I've said to people when they feel like going, can't deal with it anymore, can't deal with it, just don't want to look at it ever again and want to delete everything. And just keep everything, because you never know what might be in there that could be your saving grace. And I did actually have one lady once in a group who, in the middle of the group, while she's trying to get support, is dealing with a message about family court, and you're thinking, she's not focused, she's not in the moment focusing on, and I'm saying to her, you know what, cut out phone contact as in between the two of you, and just go via email, because that way it's more formal. You have time to think before you send it. It can be. What I would do is there's parenting apps that you can do.
Yes. And parenting apps, say if you use WhatsApp, you could alter WhatsApp. Right. So the parenting apps that are available, you can't delete anything and you can't alter anything. So I suggest to people to use, if you've got to communicate with your perpetrator, emails very easily, you can just change a thread and it's done. Whereas the parenting apps, they can't delete diddly squat. Everything's there. And what you've got to remember is the perpetrators like to show off. Mm-hmm. They want to show that they've won. I'm the bigger person. So they will vent, you shouldn't be saying, and just let them do it. Don't kind of go, let them get on with themselves, because again, the way you use that parenting app, it shouldn't affect you how you use your phone. If a notification goes off to say that your perpetrator sent something and it's 9 o'clock at night and you've got the children, so there's no worry about that, leave it. Leave it. Don't even answer it, because in the day, that's what they want you to do. They're saying jump to you, and they want you to say how high.
You're giving it oxygen, aren't you? And it's...
You're giving it oxygen. Leave it. You enjoy yourself. Watch a bit of Strictly Come Dancing. I don't know.
I do.
Enjoy yourself, because the thing is that can wait. Your life is there and then. They want to intrude into your life in order to cause a bit of misery, because they probably didn't like the football, or they didn't get the promotion they wanted that day, or they couldn't find anything on TV. So again, it's there to intrude on you, and having that ability to separate. Because back in the old days, I used to tell people to have two phones. You had your life phone, and then you have the parenting phone, because the parenting phone can go in the drawer until you need to use it. But now I don't think we're up to having two phones. I've seen a few people with two phones, and you just look like drug dealers. So like I say, the alternative then is I've had friends walking around for business. They've got two phones. They've got two iPhones going, and I'm like, what you got two iPhones for? One's for work. So all right, El Chapo. Like, okay, fair enough.
I couldn't cope with it, but it's learning to. Sorry, go on. I do think that standing back from the situation, it's easy to say.
No, it's learning to adapt, isn't it?
Learning to adapt and trying. I say this so many times, but it is trying to stand back from the situation, adapt, and say, like you say, do I need to answer that? Because what you're forgetting when they are contacting you on the weekend, say, for example, that you have the children, but then whatever it is that's going on to try and intrude on your time, is taking away from that time with the children. The times that you're walking the children to school and thinking through all the paperwork you've got for court to do and all this stuff, if you can, it's not going to make any difference if you don't think about it on that 20-minute walk up with your kids if they're at primary or something, or nursery, whatever it is. It's not going to change anything if you don't think about it for that little segment of time.
Yeah.
Focus on what this is all about, which is your children, and actually enjoy those moments, because when you look back, that court order will be long gone by the time your children are older, and it will all seem like a distant memory. What you don't want to be a distant memory is the fact that you don't have any memories of your kids having fun with you because you spent your entire time worrying yourself sick over something that you can't really control till you get in that room. And if you've done your prep work, fine, but have those nights, have those times where you don't think about it. Go for a coffee with your friends, go for a walk, whatever it is that just means that you're not thinking about it 24/7. Don't let it steal those moments that you're never ever going to get back. Now, that's me being a bit soppy, but I'm a mother, so you know.
It's true. It's true. And again, you feel sad, like say you've got a perpetrator and they've got the kids, and they don't enjoy the time with the children. All they're doing is texting you on a parenting app, setting out further abuse. You just think to yourself, what's the point? You're meant to be there building memories. You're meant to be there trying to have this time, be a parent, and all you're bothered about is trying to get one over on the other person. It's pathetic, isn't it, in a way? And just shows you, like you say, the type of person they are. So again, it's making sure you carve out your own life. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's taking control. And even if that means taking control as to how that person communicates with you, and being able to shut them off when you want to shut them off, that's how you do it.
That's how, absolutely, and it will all come good, and it does get easier, but it's when you're in the thick of it, it doesn't seem like it's ever going to go away. And I think it's important to have things like this to refer back to listen to, maybe even the night before you go into court. Just have a quick listen and go, okay, I can do this.
You'll be fine.
You will be okay. And you will come out of there, and you know what? The sun will shine again tomorrow. And well, we're in Manchester, so it won't. It'll just pee it down now till about March.
It won't shine here either. I'm in the West Midlands, so it just pee it down as well. So
I'm now going off topic, but I'm just thinking, I don't think I can ever go anywhere now wearing this t-shirt, because I'm just thinking when you were talking then about going to dinner parties, I think that it would be a good opener though, wouldn't it?
I was so tempted to get one, Lucy, and just be twinning with you. I was so tempted, but
I've been one and wear it for court.
I do. I was been renovating my house, and I was like, just had a little break, and I sat down and I went, I should get one of these. But then I was kind of questioning what size I should get. I was thinking, what size should I get on this? But I thought, do I get one of these now? And I said, it's not going to come in time. It's not going to. But I will definitely get one.
You get one.
I'll be wearing it.
And there's tote bags, so you can take all the. Well, I don't know if the paperwork will all fit in a tote bag.
I'm not a tote bag kind of guy. I'm not a tote. I'm a basketball short t-shirt kind of guy, and I think that'd be fine. So if I'm not wearing a suit and shirt, then t-shirt, basketball shorts, absolutely fine.
And being the only one doing what you do in this country, you have to have one. It's just, it would be rude not to. It would be. As an MBE, I love it. Absolutely.
If I order one, Lucy, you've got to do some like signature on it, something like that to make it special.
Absolutely.
I promise not to eBay it. I promise not to eBay it. Fingers crossed. Right?
I'll get you a white one.
Promise.
I have a white one. My husband has a white one. And it's quite interesting when we're wearing like the black and the white, because it's as if I'm saying to him, you don't owe me. Yeah, well, you don't owe me either.
Do you walk down the streets, wouldn't it, with a black and white shirt then?
Yeah, wearing the brand.
He must really love you, Lucy. He must really love you.
When you talk about unconditional love, that's what that man has. Unconditional.
That is it.
Or I've got a lot of good goss on him, and he's just worried, and he's like, yeah, I'll wear that t-shirt. Yeah,
I'll wear it. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, I'll do it. It's not an issue. But
he looks better in it than I do. That's what annoys me. But I do. Yes, you need one, right? Well, we'll get that sorted. But yes, I think you and I need to do another one of these very, very soon. Definitely.
It's been a pleasure. I can say I can talk for England about all this and vent my way through, but it's just really important, isn't it? It's an area that again, I've been so impressed with your podcast and being able to, you talking about it, talking to different people about it. And I thought when I was in Derby that I was just on my own doing all this, and it's been over the years seeing a network of people and other people trying to inspire people to do more and talk about it, where I've just gone, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's been great to kind of it's been great to meet the community and get to know them and get again, like-minded people. You're not on your own. The whole domestic abuse community and talking out against it. I think it's just a great big metaphor for everyone else. Any victim out there, you're not on your own. There's people you can talk to. There's organisations you can talk to. It's not a taboo subject. We're all here to try and fight it. And the more we talk about it and the more we stand up against it, the more we can do to eradicate it.
More chance we will have for change. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but you don't do that with silence.
No, definitely not. And you certainly don't do it if you don't. You'd be walking down the street wearing a t-shirt like this. I mean,
exactly.
When I came up with the idea, I thought, is that a bit in your face? I thought, well, put on a black t-shirt. It won't look so bad then. It won't look so in your face. But actually now I wear it loud and proud and think, because that is the whole message, is nobody, when you're walking through that courtroom door, that perpetrator does not own you.
That would be pretty good, actually. Yeah, that would be pretty good.
Imagine. I do know somebody that wore a pair of socks that said "not my problema" to court, and I did think that was quite funny for the victims. Not my problema. And you do have to have those moments.
You've got to. I speak to clients and they say, well, what should I wear for court? And I say, for God's sake, wear like a suit or smart clothes. Do not turn up in
wearing this
tracky bottoms. Well, you could get away with that with a jacket. I think you'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I've had before, years ago, when I was a trainee, I've had clients and they turn up in just like casual wear, and you just think, this is a court building. Like, you've got to make sure that you're looking good for a judge. These are important decisions.
Yeah, you want them to respect you, so you have to be respectful, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're going to take you more seriously if you do look like you could cover this up though. That's all right. Jacket, cardigan, whatever.
It'd be fine. It'd be absolutely fine.
It'd be fine. I would laugh now if you saw a flurry of people going to court.
They'll be listening to this and that they'll say, do you remember when you spoke about this, about that t-shirt? I was like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You remember that? Oh my God. I'm going to put it on mugs as well. I want it on mugs. I want it on fridge magnets. Big plans for everybody feeling like nobody owns you.
Good.
They don't.
Good.
But thank you so much for today. You are invaluable. And I love our chats. So we definitely need to book another one in the new year. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now I look forward to it. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Richard. When you look at me,